Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, and today we're gonna be doing a Pastel Bounce breakdown. And for those who don't know, Pastel Bounce is a sound of alternative R&B and alternative hip hop music. So this sound is mostly defined by swung drums and syncopated rhythms and very soft, lush seventh chords in terms of the instrumentation. And the sound is like someone mostly known for this sound is Monte Booker, who just dropped an album and he inspired this beat. And fun fact, I posted this beat on X and Monte Booker said this beat is hard. So this is the only tutorial you'll find that is Monte Booker certified. So let's get into the beat. Before we do that, please like and subscribe and let's go. So the most important thing for these type of beats is the drums. So that is what I started with. So we're gonna break down the drums and then I'll explain how to get this type of rhythm. So mostly for my kicks, I like to keep them steady. So very steady and very on the beat. So because I like my kicks to be the one keeping the rhythm because everything else is not gonna be. You see the kick is on the floor and then it's just I think this one is the only one that is kind of offbeat. And then that's what I like to do with my beats. And then the hi-hats. Um the hi-hats I like to shift them to the right, so kind of delay them. So you see, these two hi hats are not gonna be on beat; they're just gonna be after. So as you can hear, the drum, the kick is the one giving you the rhythm, and then I have snares. And then for the snares, I like to make them early, so they come in a little bit early. I think that what gives it like that rhythm. And then I also added a rim, not a rim, a ride. I also added a ride, and I also added like DJ scratches, and then I also added a laser, and that's it for the drums. And then as for the bass line, I have two basses. I like to do this in these type of beats. So I have a bass from Kontakt, which is the Scarbee Rickenbacker. And then I also have a bass, the 808 from Monte Booker's Kids. That's where the drums come from as well. Sounds 3, which is his last kit. He said he's not dropping any more kits. So I don't know. So those are the bases I have, and this bass basically follows the sample, and the sample comes from Kaelin Ellis. So I'm just gonna play that sample, and then you're gonna hear what I did to it. So I think it was Yellow Modify Kaelin Ellis. I think it's volume 3. I think it's volume 3, but this is the sample. Okay, I pitched down the sample by 1 semitone. So this is the bass. I basically replayed the bass from the sample so I can be able to have it in isolation. Yeah, and I also added that like little run at the end. So let's hear the bass with the sample. And that is the bass. So what I did was do two 808s, and they come from the Kittens song by Monte Booker, and then I just played them like this. it's sort of doing this dance of call and response. And you've already had the sample. What I did to the sample was that I pitched it down by one semitone, and I also fine tuned it, because you'll hear. Let me play the sample with the piano so you can hear that the sample was pitched. Okay, negative 47. If you can listen to the sample, it's not in key with the piano, which is tuned to the standard equal temperament at 440 hertz. So if I pitched it down by negative 47, it sounds way better. Yeah, and those are the type of things you have to train your ears to be able to hear. And then I also have these. So to emphasize that melody, which I liked from the sample, was that dun, 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 dun. I just replayed that melody in Keyscape and also Pianoteq. So I use the toy pianos that lock. I use a Celeste on this one. I think it's a nice little touch to the piano, and I also use Porter on the main melody, which is that. And then to add to the sound harmonically, I have these chords that I did on Pianoteq. I'm using Pianoteq 8, I think, on this. So I'm using the Steinway faults. It just adds that little thing underneath. And I also played the same chords on Sky Keys. Which preset did I use? I used the hymn preset. And then also what I did was so on operator, I just made a sound wave, and then after doing that sine wave, what I did was I put in a pitch envelope, so the sound basically goes down before going up. So this is what it sounds like. And then I also added a bunch of LFOs to control the equalizer. So I added a bunch of LFOs and stuff like that. So this is what this sounds like. What I have on this is, if you go to MIDI controller, yeah, pitch bend. I think that just adds to the sound. So I did a similar preset on analog, which is this one. It's a more pure sound with the same pitch envelope. Okay, and then on the second part of the beat, I use BBC Orchestra to add strings, same chords. And then I also have trumpets from Loop Garden. And that's it for the breakdown. And effects I have, so going through the effects, so I have tape saturator on the drums, and also have Abbey Road saturator. And what I did on the Abbey Road Saturator is on the post effects. I cut off the high end and then boosted the low end, and there's nothing else there. And then on the bass, I have nothing. Melodies, I have nothing. On the main instruments, I have that Portal preset, which has like this reverse effect on it. And then on the trumpets, I think I have a delay saturation from Saturn 2, and then I also have a reverb. And then on my master, I have a tape machine. And that is it for the breakdown. I hope you guys enjoy the beat. Monte Booker sure did, because he said this beat was hard. So please like and subscribe. And if you'd like to support the channel more financially, you can join the membership. But a like and a subscription is more than enough. Thank you guys for watching. I'll catch you all on the next one.